let's look at some of the blue combat tricks that are in this blue pauper deck. So the blue's goal is, of course, to kind of use their counter spells and use their return creatures to the owner's hand to kind of slow down the opposing player until they get their win condition. But let's see some kind of neater things. So one of the ways that blue can control is this right stick divulge. That lets you pay a mana and tap another creature unless its controller pays a mana themselves. So let's say you have all these guys about to attack you. If they say, I'm attacking, you say, before you attack, I'm going to pay 3 mana to tap them before they attack. Now the black player will have to pay 3 mana themselves to stop that. And if they don't, well, they tap before they attack. It's an interruption. If they do pay the 3 mana and say, oh, I don't want that to happen, well, the blue player, as long as they have more mana, can just keep doing it and say, no, I'll do it again. And the black player won't have enough land to actually keep their creatures untapped. And all their creatures will tap and they will not be able to attack. You can do this every single turn. This is an enchantment that stays on the field. As long as you have a mana advantage, you really stop the opponent from attacking you. The next trick we have is another thing that having lots of land helps you with in this game is one of the win conditions. This is one of my favorite win condition combos is Horseshoe Crab and Hermetic Study. Hermetic Study can be put on any creature and it allows that creature to tap and deal damage to any creature or player. Deal 1 damage. Now it's especially cool with Horseshoe Crab because Horseshoe Crab can pay a mana and untap. So when you combine these two, you can essentially tap and deal damage to anything you want. Let's just say we tap and deal damage to this ravenous rat, killing it, pay a mana and untap the Horseshoe Crab. You can then do it again. Tap, deal damage, pay a mana, untap. Tap, deal second damage, killing it. And you can essentially do this for every land you have. So every land you have is almost a point of damage to anything. Here's 4 land, that's 4 attacks to the opposing player. They'll take 4 damage. And so it's kind of cool. It's a little machine gun effect, if you will, because every time you tap a land, you are tapping and killing something. So there's a cool win condition. Another win condition of this deck is a lot slower, and that is to simply put a numbing dose, which taps the creature and deals 1 damage to the opponent every single turn. So every single turn, if a numbing dose is on a creature, that player will lose a life. Now the goal, of course, is that that'll be the only creature you allow that player to have, and so that every turn they will lose a life and they won't be able to do anything about it. Now this numbing dose also combos really well with Rush of Knowledge. Rush of Knowledge lets you draw cards equal to the greatest mana cost of a permanent you control. Numbing Dose has a converted mana cost of 5. So if you have a Numbing Dose out there and you play Rush of Knowledge, you get to draw 5 cards, which is really good for blue because they want card advantage. If you didn't have the Numbing Dose, you could still play Rush of Knowledge and maybe get 3 cards for Rhystic Deluge or maybe your Horseshoe Crab, but it's best played with Numbing Dose on the field. Another win condition of this deck is really the only creature that is pretty good in this deck by itself is this 4/2 with Hexproof, meaning it can't be targeted by a spell like Doomblade or one of the red fire spells. It's a 4/2. However, it also has prowess, meaning that if you play a non-creature spell, let's just say you put the Numbing Dose on something, that's a non-creature spell, it gets a +1/+1 until end of turn, making it a 5/3. So it can be pretty good at bashing and doing a lot of damage all by itself, as long as you protect it and don't run it into another creature. The next combo, and the last combo we have, is value with some of these cards. The blue player, it doesn't want to just counter a card and then let that card die. Counter, card dies. Because then the blue player will have no cards left and the opponent will have no cards left. You want the opponent to have no cards left while you keep drawing cards with Russian Knowledge or this Mold Drifter who he lets you, this little flying fish lets you draw 2 cards. But you don't want to just draw 2 cards. That's cool and all. But let's say they try to kill the Mold Drifter with maybe a Doom Blade or something. Say they try to kill the Mold Drifter with a Doom Blade. Well, you can respond with one of your cards that allows you to return a creature to the owner's hand. You will return your Mold Drifter back to your hand. The Doom Blade will then go to the graveyard because it hit nothing. And guess what? Next turn, you play Mold Drifter again, draw another 2 cards. So you're getting a lot of value out of that card. You can do that with the Mold Drifter or the Seagate Oracle, who lets you draw 2 cards and keep 1. So you play the Sea Oracle, they try to kill it, you bounce it back to your hand and play it again and draw more cards. So you get really good value out of that. Of course, you can use Echoing Truth and Echoing Truth and Repulse to bounce their cards. Say you didn't have a counterspell one turn and they got a Phyrexian Ghoul out here and you're like, oh no. Well, you play Echoing Truth, returning the Ghoul to their hand. The next turn they try to play the Ghoul again and maybe you have a counterspell ready for it to kill it. So, playing blue, you do have a lot of tricks that you have to kind of figure out what's the best play, and you want card advantage. The goal is that the opponent will have no cards left while you still have lots of cards and can finish them off slowly with Numbing Dose, with a big creature with Whirlwind Adept, or the Machine Gun Hermit Crab. Blue Pauper, check it out.